Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. For today's video, I thought we could talk about the best books I read in 2025 because this is actually my last video for this year, which is crazy. And I first of all want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has been watching my videos over this first year of me starting YouTube. It's been so much fun and I really appreciate every single person who clicked on any of my videos. It really means a lot to me. And I brought a bunch of books with me that I want to talk about today. They were some of my favorite books I read this year, and yeah, I would say let's just head in. I have a total of 11 books on here, which is pretty good. I mean, this was definitely a really fun reading year. These were definitely the best ones that I read, and I'm really excited about all of these. I think they were absolutely phenomenal. So let's head right in. First of all, we have The Storied Life of A.J. Thickery by Gabrielle Zevin. This one is so good, obviously. So this follows this bookshop owner called A.J. Thickery, and he one day finds this little child in his bookshop and he decides to take care of it because it doesn't seem to have any parents around or anything like that. This is just such a beautiful story about this like kind of father-daughter relationship, but it also deals with way more, and I just absolutely loved it. This is such a beautiful book, and especially for bookish people, I think it's really great because it has a lot of bookish references and stuff like that. And he relates a lot of things that like occur in books or that are typical for books to things that happen in real life. And I don't know, I just loved it so much, and it is a really, really good story. Now, I have some like pile stuff going on here, so that was the one book I had for literary fiction. Now I have some books for fantasy / dystopian. First of all, we have the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and especially A Curse for True Love, which is the last book. And a lot of people actually don't like the last book as much, but I actually thought it was great. It was so cool and I was like hooked. It was so crazy. This series follows Evangeline, and she makes a deal with a fate and then has to go to the Magnificent North, and she has to fulfill that deal somehow and has to like do some things that the person who she made the deal with demands. And this is such a good story. It's a really cool romance that happens throughout the series, but also just really fun and adventurous. And if you like kind of a mystery aspect in a fantasy as well, I think it is super fun. And it also has a really magical world, which I just absolutely loved about this one. So yeah, this is such an atmospheric and adorable series. I also read the Hunger Games series this year, and especially the last book, The Mockingjay, was really, really amazing, as most last books in a series typically are. And this series follows Katniss, and in her world there are the so-called Hunger Games, where a boy and a girl from each district, which is like kind of like states that they live in, has to participate, and she decides to step in for her sister, who was actually chosen, but her sister is like really young, so she decides to do the Hunger Games instead. And it is such a cool series. There are also some pretty good movies. I only watched the first one so far, but I enjoyed it. So if you like the book series, you could also watch the movies. And this is just so cool, and also kind of like critical in a way of like certain systems, I would say. And yeah, just a really, really cool series. It's getting warm in here, so I just took off my jacket. But moving on to the last one from this category, we have The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is from the Folk of the Air series, or maybe more known as The Cruel Prince. And this is also the last book in the series. So this story is about Jude, who lives in a world of fairies and has been living in that world for quite a while, like since she was a pretty small child. And the big twist in this is that she's actually a human and she gets treated differently than the other fairies. This is just a really cool story, and I really like the main character. I think she's really cool, and you kind of get also the craziest romance ever, because it's like an enemies to lovers but they stay enemies, and I think that is like incredible how that was done. Like when I heard that the first time, I was like, how's that even possible? They become lovers but they stay enemies? What do you mean? But you didn't have to read the series to find out, because it's so incredible and I don't even know how to describe that. So that was really cool, and this is just so atmospheric and the world is really, really cool. Now I have one non-fiction book on this list, and that is Beneath the Surface by John Hargrove, which I wouldn't have guessed that there would ever be a non-fiction book on my best things I read this year. But this one I actually read because I had a like really big paper that we wrote in school, and mine was on orcas at SeaWorld. And this one is about orcas at SeaWorld, obviously. And this is from an old like trainer from SeaWorld, and he talks a lot about how the animals actually were treated behind what the public could see and what really went on behind closed doors. And this is like so eye-opening, I think, especially to people who aren't really aware of that. So if you don't know that that might be an issue, I think you should really check this book out. I also have it tabbed like crazy, for one because I did use a lot of the passages and stuff in my paper, but also just because orcas are actually my favorite animals, and I think they are so incredible, and it is kind of crazy that we still keep these incredibly intelligent and emotional creatures in captivity. And I think this book just really opens that perspective way more than I would have expected, because I was going into this like, oh yeah, I will get a little bit more information about this, because I already knew quite a lot, obviously because of all my research. But this is like truly to see it from how a trainer's perspective was on this whole thing was just so different than what I expected. So yeah, I really thought it was a crazy good book, and he just paints the picture really well, and not just what goes on at SeaWorld. He also worked at a few different parks. So yeah, it was just really, really interesting. Definitely more thought-provoking, I would say, but if you're up for that, I would totally recommend it. I think it is just really, really eye-opening. And now we're moving on to the romance pile. So first of all, I have a book that I actually don't have a physical copy of, and that is called Camp Rainbow. This is actually a German book. I don't actually know if it is translated to English. Let me check that. So I just checked, and this is actually not available in English, so this one is only for my German viewers. But if you want to learn German, maybe this would also be a good place to start. But this is a really, really cute story that follows Marlene, I think. I don't actually remember because it's been a hot minute since I read this one. And there is this really cool queer summer camp, and she is going there with her friends again, and it is just a really, really cute like romance story. And there's also a second part that came out this year, and that one was even more amazing. It's called Camp Rainbow 2. And I really loved that one as well because it focused more so on a sister dynamic and also on a romance, but it was really fun to like revisit this world and see all the characters again. And yeah, I just love this series. I think it's absolutely amazing. I listened to both of these books on audio, so if you're German and you like audiobooks, definitely check this out. I think the narrators did a really good job and it's super, super good. So yeah, definitely a must-read for all my German viewers. And now we have books that everybody here can read. We have Nobody in Particular by Sophie Gonzalez. I am obsessed with this book. Like, ever since I read it, I have been thinking about rereading this one all the time because I don't even know why. It was just so good. So basically, this is like this series Young Royals, but in Sapphic, and I loved everything about it. You have this princess who attends this like really prestigious boarding school, and then you obviously have this like ordinary girl that I think is actually from America, and this takes place in like a UK type environment, but the like royalty that she belongs to isn't from like England or something, it's like made up. But this was just so cool. You had a lot of scandals and secrets and just the cutest romance ever, and a lot of character development, which I also really enjoyed and thought was so fitting for them. And yeah, I just loved everything about it. And yeah, if that sounds interesting, definitely check it out. It's really similar to Young Worlds, I would say, so if you enjoyed that, you should definitely check this out. And now we have All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown. I was going into this book expecting it to be a good book, a solid book, but it was so incredible. I don't even know why it hooked me so much, but this is basically a like post-apocalyptic world where everybody died of something called the flu. No, where like almost all of the people died of something called the super flu. But this follows Jamie and Andrew as they kind of figure out if they can trust each other, because a lot of people are trying to like steal food from each other or something like that. And it is just so like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's so interesting because it really shows how people act and how people are in these extreme situations where like most of their family and loved ones have died and they have to figure out if or how they want to live on their own. And it was just so incredible, and I think the author did an amazing job of portraying these characters and also all of the other characters that we got to see. And yeah, everything about it was just so cool. I was so hooked by this book. It was really good. There's also a second book which was also really fun to like revisit them and see how everything panned out for them. I absolutely love to see that. And yeah, this was so cool and such a unique book, I would say. I have never read anything like this before and I absolutely loved it. Next up we have Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is actually also part from an interconnected standalone series called the Bright Fall series, I think. And this is a small town vibes kind of thing. Well, I don't want to spoil too much about the first book because this second book kind of spoils a lot of it. But basically the series is just an interconnected standalone series of a bunch of sapphic stories, and I was hooked by every single one of them. I loved them so much. They were absolutely adorable, and yeah, I have nothing more to say to that. I think they were really cool. A lot of them also focused on like the character growth, and I think it was also dual POVs, which I also really enjoyed. And yeah, it was just a really cute story. And what I also really enjoy about the series is that all of the main characters have like really interesting professions, like ones that you typically don't read in books, I think. Like in the first one she was a photographer, in this one she was like a real estate kind of vibe and also a carpenter. And in the third book they were like actresses and something else, I forgot. But it's just a really cute series and just like no thoughts, just vibes and amazing. I also have one by Ali Hazelwood, and that is Love on the Brain. I was going into this expecting it to be a good book as well. I didn't go into it expecting too much, but I fell in love with the main character so bad. She was so amazing. I was obsessed with her. She was just the cutest, quirkiest, funniest character, and I loved the romance. It was amazing. There was also a like kind of crazy plot twist at the end that I definitely wasn't expecting. It was really crazy. And yeah, the dynamic was so cool and the vibe was really cool. If you don't know, Ali Hazelwood has a lot of romance stories where women are like in STEM, and it is so cool to see like them be acknowledged for that, but also like the struggles that come with a woman being in a like mainly male dominated field. And I just absolutely loved it. It was so good, and I would recommend it to everybody who likes Ali Hazelwood. Maybe they read The Love Hypothesis but nothing else by her. Read this one. I loved it even more than The Love Hypothesis. This was just so great. And now for the very last one on my list, and that is the Heartstopper series, as always, because I reread this one again this year. I particularly love the fourth book in this series and the fifth one. I think those two are like one of the best ones, this one especially, because it focuses a lot on like mental health. This series in general is just such a cute romance of how these two boys become friends and then maybe more than that. And it's also a graphic novel series, so you can fly through this in a few days. I think I read the whole 5-book series in like 3 days. It's just so fun, so fast-paced, and there's also a fantastic TV show adaptation to this. They nailed the cast so perfectly. It's not even like how did they do that, honestly. Yeah, so I absolutely love this. There's also another book coming out next year, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, this is just the most adorable schoolboy type of vibe series ever. These were all of my favorite books of 2025. If you read any of these, let me know what you thought of them. And also let me know what your favorite books were of 2025. I always love to hear what other people think. And maybe I will add them to my TBR for next year, because I think these videos are perfect for that. And yeah, I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you have a happy new year. That is going to be it for today's video and also for this year. I really hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, maybe like, comment or subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!